guys, we're going way back on this one. This is Phoenix for the Atari 2600, and this is one of the first video games of all time that I remember actually playing. Normally I don't go back and do these old 2600 games. This is actually the first Atari 2600 game that I've captured, and there's a good reason for that. This is, like I said, the very first video game that I actually remember playing in my entire life. My uncle had this game on the 2600, and he eventually lent it to me with games, and I remember this being my favorite game out of all the games that he had for it. Pretty awesome game. This game was developed by Amstar. Came out in the arcades in 1980. It was one of the first games in the arcade to be in full color. If you remember Space Invaders, it really only had two colors, white and green, whereas this has, sort of multicolors on the enemies. So it was the next evolution in graphics in the arcades. And at first it does look very similar to Space Invaders, but you realize that as you go through the levels, you get varying enemies. This also has a shield. You can press down on the D-pad. You'll get a short burst of shield that protects you. You can still shoot through the shield. Atari actually bought the rights to have the home console exclusive version of this game on the Atari 2600. But where this game really changes from your sort of Space Invader style game is when you get to the mothership, or the end boss at the end of all 5 rounds. As you can see, you can shoot through its underbody until you get up to the shields, the blue part which rotates, and of course you have to cut yourself a hole to shoot through there and then wait for it to come back around, and you can hit the little alien guy inside the ship and kill him. And that's really all there is to this game. Once you defeat the mothership, it basically just loops over, getting harder and harder as your score remains, and you obviously want to get the highest score. Like many of these old games, there's not really much to show, and that's why I don't usually review these kind of games. There's a lot of other people that review these older pre-NES style games, and they do a much better job than I do. Some of you guys might remember a game called Demon Attack, very closely resembling this game, and that game actually came out after this game, and when it came out on the Atari, they actually sued the developers of that game for basically ripping this game off. It was, it was such a close resemblance to this game. But nonetheless, awesome game, and like I said, for me, I picked this up today, and I was very happy to pick this up because, like I said, I loved this game when I was a kid, and it is the very first video game that I actually remember playing.